and welcome to Creating in Color, sharing the creative endeavors of people of color. I'm your host, Kaybe, and today I'm joined with Camilo, a visual development artist whose past projects include Toy Story 4, DC's Super Pets, Disney's Rocketeer, and Soul. How are you today, Camilo?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for asking. So, what is a visual development artist?
Basically, our job is to establish the look of a film. So we start from designing the characters, the sets, the props, everything that you see in the film. So our job is basically informing our departments how the film is supposed to look and what are we aiming for the film to be visually.
That's so cool. How did you get started in the animation industry?
It was actually very interesting. I my career path wasn't exactly the same as any animation person, I guess, or like per se an artist. I never thought like I was gonna end up here. I actually studied engineering at first, and that's what I thought I was gonna be. I went for engineering at school first. I spent 4 years studying that, and in the meanwhile, while I was studying, I started getting to know more people in the school, and they were actually into animation, and that's how I got into this. And they took me to this event called SIGGRAPH, which was very cool. It's like this event or conference that happens every year where like animation companies or just in general entertainment companies go and expose how films are done. And while I was there, my mind was blown about like, oh my god, people actually do this for a living. This is so cool. So I guess like I took inspiration from that, and that's where like the passion started growing for me. And I decided that I wanted to just shift my life and just like do art for a living. And yeah, so once I graduated from engineering, I decided that I wanted to do that, and I guess I started focusing in drawing because once again I didn't know I actually had to draw to do animation, which sounds so ironic. Back then I didn't know any of that, and so that was pretty hard, but we did it. And then decided to go to art school. I went to Ringling College, made a study animation actually there, and yeah, from there it just was like, I guess, on a smooth path of like getting into animation, getting to know more artists, and surrounding myself with people who had similar interests as me. And I think like that helped a lot.
Wow, yeah. That is very much a unique path. You went to school to be an engineer for 4 years.
Yeah, pretty unusual to hear that because I feel like most people, when they go into this kind of field, they kind of know early on they wanted to be artists. Well, for me, it wasn't like that. Like, I never, like, as a kid or like growing up, I never imagined I want to do cartoons for a living or I want to paint for a living, I want to draw for a living. Like, that was never my thing. In fact, I remember growing up, my mom doing my art homework for me because I hated it so much. Like, I remember this for specifically an assignment where like we all have to do like the color wheel kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she making it for me because I refused to do that kind of stuff. So that's kind of funny. Yeah, like now I think about it, I was like, wow, look at me. Like I used to hate it and look what I do now for a living. So like that's basically what I do. So yeah, things change, and I guess that was my call. Like I'm so glad. I don't regret going for engineering actually because that's how I got to know that I needed to be here. Like I met the right people there who got me into this, and I'm so grateful for it. And I still think somehow engineering also shaped the person that I am today and the artist. Like, yeah, my mind is very artistically, but also very logical, and that has helped me to develop other skills that I can apply in my job. Like for example, I love architecture. I love to think how things work, like functionality. That comes from like my background of engineering. So, and that has helped me to like be remarkable or like stand out from others in this industry.
So, you hated doing art as a kid.
Yeah.
Did you draw at all? Like, do doodles or anything like that?
Never. Never again. Like I will ask my mom, hey, can you draw this for me? So I like drawings that people like when you're a kid, you have drawings and stuff like you hang out in the walls and stuff like that. I will not do them. I will ask my mom, hey, can you do this for me? Like I remember, for example, watching this TV show, let's say Pokemon. I will tell her, hey, can you draw Pikachu for me? And she will do it for me. So that was kind of funny now that I think about it. Like I didn't like drawing, but I did like sculpting, for example. Like that was my thing. Like I used to sculpt a lot, and I did it until like I was probably like 12 or 14, like sculpting in different media, but not drawing for sure. Like that wasn't my thing. I wouldn't say like I knew that art was gonna be my thing. I did music for so long too, but I never thought like art or like being in that specific industry or media was gonna be my call for living, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just very interesting how it happened. And now I love it, you know? So it's so unique.
You came around eventually.
Mm-hmm. Totally, yeah.
And did you basically start from zero when you went to Ringling to just like learn the basics of drawing and just develop your skills?
Yeah, in a way, yeah, I think so. At least what I would call artistic drawing for sure. I started like right when I was applying for Ringling because once you apply to art school, you have to present a portfolio, right? That's
Mhm.
when it started hitting me. Oh my God, I actually need to know how to draw. So that's when I started like actually getting into practice. Okay, I need to take this serious if I want to actually do this. So I guess I started drawing seriously when I decided to apply to art school. Before then, I think like I had some like experience but not artistically. I had knowledge in technical drawing, so like I learned perspective and grids and stuff like that. And to this day I enjoy doing that so much, which is so weird because so many people in this industry hate doing that kind of stuff, you know, but I enjoy it. And yeah, that's basically how my artistic growth happened. Like I've been into this for about 7 years now, and it's been 7 years since I actually started drawing like seriously. It's an interesting path, but it wasn't easy. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it was worth it, and I'm proud of where I am as for now, for sure.
To you, what does it mean to work in animation?
For me it just means like the way I would like to think about it, I guess, is like why do I work in animation? And for me the answer is like animation, I guess, or cartoons in general help me to understand so many things in life, like help me to navigate life in a way while I was growing up. I grew up in an environment where like my parents were far away. For example, my dad will be gone for so long because of his job, and my mom is a doctor, so a lot of the times she wasn't present, you know. So for me, my outlet was just cartoons or like just watch movies. So to me, that outlet was like that was my company. So in what I do is now like okay, I want to compensate or like help to do the same for other kids that are growing up too. You know, like help them to like have that too and like create those memories that were so impactful for me while I was growing up.
I guess you already answered this last or this next one, unless you wanted to elaborate more on did you always know you wanted to get into animation or did you have interest in other industries, which
Yeah, well, as I said, I never thought like I was gonna be so much into art as I am right now. I did consider going into architecture before. Like I remember my options were engineering or architecture, but somehow I decided to do engineering, which I
mm,
hated, by the way. Like, yeah, that wasn't my thing. It just kind of was landed in my lab, and like I was just like, let's do this. This looks so fun to do, so unique. Looks such a cool job. It's not gonna be easy, but I'm down for it.
do you have any television experience?
I do actually. So I started initially on feature film, and then for a while I worked on TV. I worked in TV for a year for Disney TV. I started on Puppy Dog Pals. I freelanced for a little bit doing some character design for it for I think season three. It wasn't something very short, and then I hopped into the Rocketeer, which is a Disney Junior TV show too.
Mm.
I worked for it for a while, and then I hop into another Disney TV show called, oh my god, I'm blinking out right now. It's called the Chicken Squad. I remember now. Again, it's a Disney TV show for Disney Junior. I mean, so it's for little audiences. It was fun. Yeah, it was quite different for sure, but I think it taught me so much about like how to deliver things or like how to be more efficient when working, you know. And it's a completely different experience, but yeah, it's just fun at the same time.
What differences did you notice working in feature versus television? And do you have a preference on either TV or feature?
I do have a preference. I prefer feature. I don't think one is better than the other for sure. I think both are like super cool. I think for me why I prefer feature is mainly because you can be more detail oriented, and I think that fits more my work, you know, like what I aim to do as an artist. I'm a person who's very like detail oriented, and I love like spending so much time doing just one single thing, you know. So that actually fits into a future pipeline. While on TV, I feel like a lot of the times, because of the schedule, you need to be more efficient and be more faster. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't mean that quality of work is gonna be lower. No, the quality is gonna be the same, but I feel like I enjoy doing multiple passes, for example, at one single thing. Like I love spending days or maybe weeks on just a single painting. While in TV, you can do that, you know. So you need to be better, fast. You need to be faster, efficient, and have a better idea of like what the director or like or the showrunner wants, you know. So it's different in that way. Yeah, and I guess like another thing that I noticed was the type of content. Well, at least from my experience, like working for Disney Junior was totally different, you know. And we had a lot of limitations of like what we could show or not to little audiences, you know. And while I wasn't against it, I wish I could like expand that more. But like I felt like in our current times, it's just not possible, you know. So we were like pushed more towards like going towards stereotypes or like stuff like that. And I wasn't like always agree with this, but yeah, some things like I will be like, I will be better, but it's okay, you know. It's not we can do. I don't know. It's just something that I can't fight against.
Do you feel that there isn't necessarily an area for you to do it, or are you concerned about timing wise, like with the schedule, or
I don't think it's related to schedule in that regard, to be honest. I think there's not any space for me to actually fight for it, you know? I think like that's just for me, at least what my experience in TV was, you know, like and again, I think like all these decisions are not just made from like the director or the showrunner, they're also done by executives and stuff like that. So it's just hard to fight against that a lot of the times, you know.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's tough, it's rough a lot of the times, but I do believe like sometimes you gotta fight for it if you have the opportunity. And at the time that I was in TV, for example, I didn't have that opportunity, you know. While like in other times where like in future I have had the opportunity to speak up and say like, hey, maybe we can do this better in this way. They're willing more to like listen to you because maybe there's more time. And I don't know, I just felt like I had more of a voice there, you
Mm.
know. I don't know, like I think it also depends on the show, the film, the people that you're working with, everything. So it's just based on the situation that you're in.
Do you feel maybe there is, as the animation industry continues to grow and change with new ideas and people and stories coming into the industry, that might be part of the reason why you felt like there was a bit more of a, not platform.
More like an opportunity to speak up and like, yeah,
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's something going on right now where like people are trying to make a difference now. You know, like I feel like I wouldn't say that it's getting significant better because there's a lot to work on and regardless of that, you know, like in terms of representation of like doing or saying the right thing, you know, because it's such a hard thing to do these days. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's such a sensitive thing. But I feel like there's more opportunities now and people are more conscious about what they're making, you know. So yeah, I think things are slowly changing and there's, as I just said, like I feel like there's more shows or more outlets now that are willing to create new content in regardless of like let's say gender, race, culture, anything just in general, you know. And I think that's super cool. The problem here just becomes on like who's making those shows, in my opinion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What background do they have to like actually have a say on what they're making, you know? Because a lot of the times I feel like they might have like a cultural background on it, or like they have like a team they can trust on like making decisions on it. But at the same time, I feel like they're not hiring the right people to do that, you know.
Yeah.
So it's tough. Like there might be projects that they want to do that, but if you don't hire the right people, I think it's hard.
Because you don't have the people that could chime into those experiences.
Exactly, totally. You know, so yeah, it's getting better for sure, and I think people in the studios are more willing to expose those stories. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and I appreciate that. And I yeah, it's getting there, and I think it's important to speak up. Like not be afraid of doing those things. And that's something that I struggle with. Not gonna lie, because I often feel like I have no voice. But as I keep going and getting experience, more people have been encouraged me just to speak up and just actually voice my opinion. And I think that's so important, and people actually will value you. So yeah, I encourage anybody to do it, as being politely about it, like being, you don't need to come off as violent or like aggressive about it. No, not at all. But there's always ways to say things better.
Do you feel in order to be successful in this industry, you need to be an artist?
What do you mean by artist?
What do you think I mean by artist?
Well, I often like hear this question in terms of like if you need to go to art school. So I don't know if that's what you mean by it. What's the definition of success for everybody? Like I feel like it's that's such a subjective question at the same time, both in like what everybody considers to be an artist and what is success. To me personally, I feel like you don't need to be an artist to be successful. There's so many ways to be successful in this industry. I have gotten to know people who had nothing to do with art, who actually are in this industry, and I think they're idols, or at least I consider them idols for me. So I think that's pretty cool in a way. You can maybe want to tell stories, and you don't need to be an artist. You don't need to be a writer, an example.
Mhm.
I'm not really sure how to say what is in my head right now but yeah, I don't think so. And I guess like in terms of success, it just depends on what you want in life. Like I don't know, such a complicated question actually. It's a tough question actually, in my opinion. I don't know, like, because for me success can mean something totally different. Like to me, being successful in life has nothing to do being good at what you do at work. Like work is just something very small in my life. Like I personally don't like to make my life be controlled for what I do. Like yeah, it's a lot, is it defines who I am as a person too, but I don't let work define my living. So I find ways to be successful by things that I do in my personal time, or like who I am as a person, but not because of my work, like the projects that I have worked on, or the successes that I have had in my career. Yeah.
What does it mean to be a visual development artist?
What does it mean? To me, just I just find it so fascinating that I get to help to visualize and come up with the look of a film. Like that just blows my mind. I don't know, in my head, I just think my job is so freaking cool. Like just to be able to say, oh yeah, I help establishing how that film, how the lighting, how the colors, how the characters look like. So that to me is what it means to be a visual development artist. I was the first person to decide how the film was gonna look like, and then a bunch of people followed me up with that concept and tried to support the boys that were trying to establish. So that to me is what it meant.
What does your daily routine look like?
So I usually wake up pretty early, around 5 or 5:30 a.m. every day.
What?
Yeah,
On
literally.
purpose?
It's kind of crazy, I know. I usually work out every morning, like around 6 a.m. So I let myself to do that. I spend like an hour or two working out, or I go surfing. I love surfing too. So I do that when I'm able to. Right now it's kind of hard because of our current situation. But I like to have time for myself before I sit down to work. It helps me to like clear up my mind, do all the stuff that I want to do. I'm usually a morning person, and I don't know, I just enjoy it. Either that, if I'm not doing that, I like to just read the news, or like read a book or anything, or just like watch TV, like just be lazy before going to work. And then if I'm hungry, I usually don't eat breakfast a lot of the time. But if I'm hungry, I just do breakfast and stuff like that, and then I just sit down to work, especially during these times. But if it was like if the pandemic wasn't going on, I will just go to work, start my day, go to work, and then after work, I'll just go home. Again, I cook for myself pretty much every day. If I'm willing to, I usually watch a TV show or a movie. I don't really watch a lot of animated stuff these days, to be honest. It's just too much for my head. I love it, but I need a break sometimes. So yeah, it's either that or just, I don't know, talk to friends, family, anything like that. And during work, I guess like it just depends on what I have at work. I usually check my email, then check if I have meetings during the day, start scheduling that, and set the goals for the day. I usually see how much work do I have and how much time I have, and just trying to schedule it. I love time management, so I'm just a freak with that. Like I have like sketchbooks and stuff like that where I just do that. Same with my calendars online. I don't know. I just love that. It just gives me so much gratification, and yeah, I'm a huge nerd for that. Like I'm the type of person who loves to like, okay, from this time to this time I'll do this and this. Okay, and like I just do to-do list. I just love doing that all that stuff. I don't know. I just enjoy it so much. And it just makes me feel like I'm being productive, you know? Even if
Mm-hmm.
like all I have to do during the day is just, I don't know, draw a stick figure, I will have to say to-do list, draw the head, second, draw the body. It's just so stupid, but I just enjoy it so much. It's just like the gratification of just completing a list, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
just following up like something that I set up in my mind early on, like, okay, you're gonna do this during the day. And I don't know, I just enjoy it. That's also like why I enjoy like waking up in the morning. Like it just helps me to clarify everything. How am I gonna do during the day? And it also helps me to like have like some kind of intention for the day, you know?
Mm-hmm. What are some specific roadblocks you try to watch out for?
What do you mean by that?
Say you're going about doing your drawing, checking off tasks on your to-do list, and something happens. What is it? What's halting you?
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, a lot of the times when you work on productions, a lot of the times change very quickly, you know? So you have to be flexible in terms of like, you have to adapt to the time schedule of the production, you know? Like a lot of the times what happens to me is just like, I'm working on something. And all of a sudden it's like production or my art director comes to me and be like, never mind, you need to stop on this and let's hop into this because this requires more attention right now. So yeah, that kind of shifts my schedule, for example, and that throws me off a little bit. But at the end of the day, it is my job to adapt to it, and I have no problem with it. Like in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'll come back to this. Not ideal because for me personally, it takes me a while to get into something, and I like to like easing in things and like let it marinate in my head and just like get into it, you know? But in this industry, I think it's so important to be adaptable in those terms, like be flexible and be really quick in terms of that. So I think like that's the only thing that I can think of, to be honest. Besides that, I think also it's just like not to take things too personally, you know? Like at least in I think the nature of it, of our job requires a lot of how can I say this, collaboration between people, you know? So your work is gonna be receive a lot of feedback from other people, and it's not like they mean it like against you. It's just like they're just giving their opinion of like how to make it better or for the production, and it's just a contribution of a lot of voices. It's a lot of that. Like not take it personally. I It's such a natural thing in our job.
What support or resources would you recommend to someone who's trying to break in? And what did you use for that matter?
I will say like start getting to know who works in animation. You know, like I think like nowadays it's so easy to find people online. So I feel like, for example, social media has allowed us expand or showcase our work to anybody. You know, so I feel like reaching out to these people or like getting to know what are the standards of the industry is so important. You know, getting to know that and being inspired on a daily basis, that helped me so much. And reaching out to them, like you will people won't believe like how easy or like how willing are people to help you, you know? Like maybe you want feedback or like I don't know, I remember when I was just trying to break in or like just trying to learn, just reaching out like, hey, I'm just starting this, I don't know if you have any tips, blah blah blah, you know, I love what you do, yeah, and they might help you to like give you a guideline how they do things, you know? So and be very curious in general, like, you know, for example, for me, something that helped me a lot was like studies of people's work that I enjoy, but not just like copying it. I think like something that helped me was while I was doing it, just think why did I make these decisions, you know, and like why did do I like it so much? It's not just copying for the sake of copying. It's just thinking why does it work and why do I like it and what specifically about it do I like it, you know? Like for example, let's say an artist drawing a hand. Why do I like the way they draw the hand? It's stuff like that helped me so much. And that's gonna help you to clarify things in your head. And I feel like the more you do it, the more easy it's gonna become because you're like training a muscle in your head.
What advice would you give someone, as best as you can describe in an audio only medium, for what they should include or not include in their portfolio?
I feel like people should include what they enjoy doing it. For the longest time, I was so afraid of it. For example, I love architecture, I love buildings. And a lot of the times, I feel like that's not really fun to watch. For a lot of people, it's not like something that they enjoy watching. But that's what I enjoy doing. And something that I have found out is just because that's what I enjoy doing is so unique. That's what makes me remarkable from others. Like that's what makes me like stand out from others. So one, be proud of what you do for sure. Like believe in yourself 100%, because I think it's hard, especially as an artist, to believe in yourself when there's so much competition going on and you beat up yourself with like, oh my god, this person is so much better. So one is believe in yourself. The other thing is like be conscious about where you are right now in your work. Like just own it if like you're ready to go into the industry. And third, I will say, what kind of work do you expect to do at work? Like for example, I enjoy doing buildings and stuff like that, environments. So naturally, my job became just being a set designer for film. I enjoy doing character too, but that's not what I'm really passionate about. I just love, for example, drawing walls and windows and stuff like that. It sounds silly, but that's what I enjoy doing. So I feel like showcasing what you like to do is gonna help a lot. One, is gonna be better. Why? Because you enjoy doing it. Naturally, you're gonna spend more time doing it, so you're gonna be better at it, and people are gonna notice it in your portfolio. So I will include that. And I don't know, just have fun, to be honest. Like that's what I like to tell everybody when they ask me like, how do you know what to include? I'm just like, if you were to pick somebody for a job, what would you like to like see in a portfolio? And they usually tell me, I don't know, I just like something that tells a story. I'm like, there you go. If that's what you want, do that. I feel like a lot of times when people try to do a portfolio, they just like say, oh my god, I'm doing a portfolio piece. And I think that's when the mistake comes from. They just set up their mind that they're making a portfolio piece instead of like having fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel like having fun is so important. And just as I said again in the past, know who works in the industry. Be curious and just look their portfolios. That's gonna help you to have a guide or like a sample of like what their portfolio looks like. Well, I remember when I was in school and I was trying to set up my portfolio, what was good or what was not. I remember I bookmarked so many portfolios that are people that I looked up to, and I would like see them on a daily basis and study them. Like, okay, what's the structure of portfolio? Like, what makes them successful? And just to study and just like the more you see it, the more you're gonna understand why they're good at it and why they work at these studios. And also, as cliche as it sounds, you need to cater to the job that you want. Like for example, a portfolio that aims for Cartoon Network, for example, is not gonna be suitable for something like Disney. It's just totally different style. So be conscious about where you're applying because yeah, that as silly as it sounds, it does matter.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
What was your upbringing like?
I have a little sister, so it was like basically the two of us growing up together. Because of the nature of my parents' job was kind of different. Like my mom used to work; she's a doctor, so a lot of the time she wasn't at home. And my dad is an oil engineer, so he will travel so much for work. Like I will see him like probably once every month. So it was like that until like pretty much when I was 15. So it was pretty much me and my sister just growing up, the two of us together. Like yeah, we have family events and stuff like that, but yeah, it was fun. My mom did as much as she could, and I love her. Yeah, it was just fun. I don't know how to explain. Yeah, I also grew up in Colombia. I didn't grow up in the States. I mean international. So it was very different there. And I guess like back then, that's also surprising. Like when I look back, I was like, I never imagined myself like working in Hollywood, because that's what we do in a way, like we work in LA, we work in animation, and I never imagined my life being so far away from home, so away from family. So it was so different, and yeah.
How did your mom react when she found out that you are working in an art field after all those times you'd have her draw Pikachu for you?
I don't. She always wonders. Like she was like, it's just funny because me and my sister are like the black sheeps of the family in a way. Because like, so for example, for my mom's side, everybody is a doctor or is involved in a medical field, and from my dad's side, it's always like engineers or something related to math. And me and my sister were like art. I do art, and my sister wants to be a filmmaker. She's right now in
Oh.
school. It's just very interesting, And my mom and my dad are always wondering, like, where do you guys get that from? Like, it just grew up out of nowhere, especially for you. Like in your sister, we could see it, but like for you, it was so weird. Like all of the sudden, just switched out of nowhere, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew so fast. Like it was so fast and so quick, because it was like from one day to another, you just start like switching everything in your life, from being like so logical to being so artistic, and like being so much into art, and like just being so curious about so many other things in life. So yeah, in a way, we found it funny, and like I think it's super cool, because I don't know, now that we look back, I can share so many other things with my mom. Like, yeah, like my mom loves pottery, so in a way we share that, and like she also loves interior design, so I can share this experience, that I can talk with her about that stuff. Like she asks me for advice sometimes, so that's kind of cool, to look back and like, okay, I can bond with my mom about that kind of stuff. That's cool. I don't know, I enjoy it, and it's just funny when we talk about it, but yeah.
In these weird times of working from home, it's easy for life balance to blur and get mixed together with your work life. How do you
Mhm.
manage to find a balance so life isn't just work?
It's really rough, to be honest. I feel like at the very beginning, when all of this was starting, was extremely hard. I remember having such a hard time like focusing, especially because for me home was the place where I could just like be myself, and like just not think about work at all. But all of a sudden, this place became work, and it became my house too. So it was, as you say, it was blending all together. And as things went along, I guess like I start managing better, in terms of I start setting up boundaries. How? With time management, as I said, like I'm like, okay, from this time to this time, I'm gonna work. And I also set up spaces where like, okay, this is the space where you work. You're not gonna eat here. You're not gonna watch TV here. You do different things here, and it helped me to like separate those two things at a time. Like my personal life versus my work life. So that has helped me. I'm not gonna say that I don't struggle to this day, because I still struggle. I feel like that's still everybody, and it gets harder with time. Like it's harder to focus at times. We all have those days where like we're very productive, and the next day we're a completely mess. It happens, but I think that's the nature of life, and I think it's not just in the pandemic or like right now during these times. I just think it applies for anything, any other time. We need to be conscious that our life is not just work. We're more than just that, and our value is not measured by our productivity at work, or just our successes in our career, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
What do you feel are the next steps in your journey?
Oh, that's a hard question. I think career-wise, I would love to be an art director, but for that, that's gonna take a while. At least for me, I want to have more experience first, getting to know more people, getting to know more of what I like to do, learning more, because I feel like I still have yet so much to learn. I think like in the long run, I would love to art direct for a film, especially. So I would love to have that opportunity in my future. But I don't specifically see myself in animation, to be honest. I just want to do something else. I'm not really sure what it is yet. But yeah, something related with art. And I don't know, maybe I want to create a product or something and just open a business. I don't know what exactly it is. Maybe just being a freelancer and just being able to travel. I love to travel too. So yeah, like I love hiking and camping and all that stuff. I don't necessarily see myself working for any studio too. So I know that's not on my goals to just end up like at a big studio or something like that. No, not really.
Do you have any, besides hiking, do you have any other hobbies, side hustles, or interests that you engage in?
Yeah, I love photography. I love surfing, as I said. I love interior design. That's a huge thing for me. At my house, I just very particular what I choose and stuff like that. I think that's mainly it, to be honest. Yeah, hiking. I love baking, but I think that's everybody these days, to be honest. But no, I used to. I love baking even before all of this, and I love like making things pretty. So I especially like the decorating part of it. So yeah.
Well, you have to keep us up to date on what you end up doing next.
Yeah, for sure I will.
Okay, now is the time for rapid questions where, I'll ask you Siri this or that questions or yes or no questions, but it's not always the case. And you just answer them as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Everyone loves this part.
I'm curious now what you're gonna ask.
What would you name your boat if you had one?
Escape.
Oh, I love it. What's the closest thing to real magic?
Heart.
What's the most useless talent you have?
Oh my god.
Are all your talents useful? Is that why?
No, I just think that's the only thing I can do well. So everything else is just a mess. What would I say? Oh my god. I have no idea. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you an answer for that.
That's okay. Do you prefer coffee or tea?
Oh, coffee.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Vanilla.
Vanilla or strawberry?
Strawberries.
Strawberry or chocolate?
Strawberries.
Okay, strawberry is the winner.
Yeah, like strawberries are my favorite thing.
Do you like them as they are, in ice cream, in dessert, like baked goods, or as jam?
I just like them in general. Like that's my favorite fruit, and I love it. I do like chocolate, but I do not like chocolate ice cream. I do not like chocolate cake, anything like that. I like chocolate as it is, but I don't like chocolate in any other form. For example, so it's just weird. I know.
That's how I am with strawberries, actually, so I get
Yeah,
it. What's the last TV show that you watched?
The Crown,
Oh, okay. Do you have a favorite plant?
Monstera,
How do you stay productive and motivated?
by doing what I like,
Mm.
what I love, and just being spontaneous. Like just go for it. Like don't overthink things.
Comedy or drama?
Drama, always drama.
Drama or thriller?
Drama,
Still drama. What about comedy or thriller?
comedy. Oh, that's actually hard to be honest, but I will say comedy. Yeah,
Give me a word that starts with the letter Z.
Camilo.
You said what?
Camilo, my
No,
name.
Z.
Oh, Z. Oh, zebra.
Too easy. Give me another one.
Zoo.
One more.
Oh God, this is a hard one for me because English is not my first language, so I have to really think about it. Oh God,
Do you want to give me one that's not in English?
I'm blinking out even in Spanish. It's embarrassing. Yeah, I'm really bad at these things, like thinking about letters and stuff like that. Yeah,
That's okay.
yeah.
Does your car have a name?
It doesn't.
Name your car right now on this podcast.
Oh, let's call it. It's a her. That's I know that it's a her. Let's call her Chelsea.
That's adorable. Okay, last question. If you could go back to any of these decades, which one would you choose? The 60s, the 70s, the 80s, or the 90s?
The 80s for the music.
Good
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah, I love music. Like I'm a huge music fan. Like that's my thing. I need to be listening to music all the time. Like actually my friends find it so weird how much music I listen to. Like
Really?
so much. Yeah, even like my mom used to tell me that as a kid, there needed to be so much noise in the room for me to go to sleep. So I guess that's where it comes from too, you know. But I listen to music from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. I love doing playlists and stuff like that, and I just keep them up to date. That's something that I'm super huge on, and I love it.
What's your favorite genre?
I love house music. Like it just makes me so relaxed and stuff like that. I love house. I like indie a lot too. I love pop too. I just like everything, a little bit of everything. The only thing that I personally wouldn't enjoy much is country, but other than that, we're all good. Like, you give me an it and I'll vibe to it.
Thank you so much, Camilo, for speaking with us today. It's been a pleasure. Do you have any social media you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, for sure. Basically, everybody can find me on social media, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, I think it's just that. Camilo Castro Art. Same thing for both of them. Or my website, Camilo-Castro.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks to you. It was such a pleasure to be here.
Oh my God, thank you so much. You've been an absolute delight. And thank you, the listener, for tuning in. You have to sit while I do my outro. Please follow Creating Get Color on Instagram and Twitter, and feel free to submit any questions for upcoming guests through our social media or creatingacolorcast@gmail.com. If you're interested in following me, you can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and twitch.tv at Maybe It's Kaybe. Thanks to Namikaze for allowing us the use of his song. You can find more of his music on his SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Namikaze. That's Namikaze. Thanks to everyone for sharing Creating Color with their friends, family, and coworkers. We really appreciate any word of mouth or even helping me push our hashtag on social media, hashtag Creating a Colorcast. If you're interested in supporting us with donations, you can find us on Ko-fi at ko-fi.com/creatingacolor. All one word. Before we wrap up, do you have any departing words of wisdom for everybody listening?
Not really.
Well, I like that honesty.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just blinking out in the moment. I was just.
This has been Creating a Color. Keep striving, keep trying, keep creating. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.